So, dear students, in this video we are going to discuss about macros. Macros are predefined definitions, or you can say predefined functions which you can use in your program. So it's quite simple to write macro. So macros start with hash define. So hash define, it means now you are using this keyword define, hash define, you are going to define a macro. So first you will give your macro name. So for example, let's say I give my macro name OOP. So this is the name of macro. Okay, so whenever you write this OOP, it is going to do the function. It is going to do whatever we command. So let's hash define space OOP. This is macro name. Now space. Now let's say every time when you write OOP, you want to write good morning, how are you? So this I want to perform with the help of this macro OOP. So now let's say I write cout and my macro name is OOP, end line. So whenever we will write this OOP and we will run it, it will give us good morning, how are you? Good morning, how are you? If again I will write macro, again it will give us good morning, how are you? Let's run it again. Good morning, how are you? So this is the basic purpose of a macro. We define it using this symbol hash define. This is called hash define and this is called hash define macro. Macro name is OOP. Whatever you want to perform with this OOP, with this macro, you can write further. So for example, let's say I write hash define and my macro name is, let's say, 5. Okay, and how I write 5? I say 5 is 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. Just make a notice, there is no need to put semicolons here. So now because this is not a string, so it means we want to do some calculation. So it means we have to define 3 and 2 also. So let's say hash define 3 and 3 is equal to 2 plus 1. Now we have to define 2 and 1 also. So let's say hash define 2 and 2 is 1 plus 1. And then we will give the value of 1. So 1 is 1. So now let's say when I write cout 5, 5 is my macro name. What happens? It will calculate. It will write 5 is equal to 3 plus 2, then it will go to this function, then it will go to another function 2. These are a small function, macro functions. See, it will give you 5. So by this way, you can give any function here. Now let's say for example, I define a function hash define and let's say my function is fx. And what fx says? Fx says x cube plus x square plus 1. So x cube plus x square plus 1. Now whenever you pass this fx, it is going to calculate for any value of x. Like cout. So sometimes we have to solve some numericals like this. You could use your macros. Let's say 3 or let's say 2. So it should be 2 cube plus 2 square plus 1, that is 8 plus 4 plus 1, that is 13. So when we run it, 5 and 13. Last one is 13. So using these macros, either you can define your small functions like I did it here, or sometimes we have to define some patterns. Like you want to put a straight line, you want to put some asterisks just to make your output interesting, just for setting of your output. So no need to write that particular thing in cout again and again. Just define it in macro. For example, let's delete these all. And let's say I want to define this OOP. What? I want to put a line. I want to put a line of stars. So if I will define it, so every time whenever I want a line of a star, I do not need to write it again and again. Simply I will, first I have to delete these two because I have deleted these macros. So simply I will write OP and it will give me a line of streaks. So by this way you can define your patterns using macros. So this is the use of macro. Hope this will be useful for you whenever you are writing any real world applications. Thank you. See you in the next some interesting videos.